Today, we're going to peel back the layers on one of history's most famous or infamous figures. And we're going to uncover a story that was deliberately kept under wraps for decades. It's a story that honestly changes how you see the man and the very empire he wanted to tear down. Go on, really think about it for a second. What's the first image that pops into your head? Is it the fiery speaker, the face on a red banner, maybe the architect of the Soviet Union? For most of us, that image is tied to one very specific identity, right? This is the picture we all get, the one that's been hammered into our heads by Soviet history books and pop culture for 100 years. Lenin, the ultimate Russian, leading a Russian revolution. Simple as that. But what if that's not the whole story? What if his real identity is way more complex, way more surprising? And what if it tells us something really deep about the world he came from? Okay, so to get to the revolutionary, we have to look past the icon, past the propaganda, and get to know the man, Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov. And the best place to start is with his family tree. A history, by the way, that the Soviet government tried very hard to keep secret. So this here splits Lenin's heritage right down the middle. You've got the Ulyanovs on one side and the blanks on the other. And when you put them together, well, you get a story that is anything but purely Russian. Let's look at his father's side. It's this incredible story of social mobility. I mean, his grandfather was born a serf. But his father, Ilya, was brilliant. He basically studied his way out of poverty, became a school inspector, and eventually earned the status of a nobleman in the Russian Empire. And his ethnic roots, they were deep in the Volga region, likely mixed with local peoples like the Mordvins or Kalmyks. Now for the other half of the story, his mother's side. This is fascinating. His mother, Maria, was the daughter of a German-Swedish Lutheran woman and a Jewish doctor named Alexander Blank. Now, Dr. Blank was actually born Israel Blank to a Jewish merchant family, but he converted to Christianity. Why? To escape the awful restrictions placed on Jews in the empire. So Lenin's own mother was raised as a Lutheran in this very educated, very European-style home where they spoke multiple languages. So here's the kicker. While Lenin was, culturally Russian, he spoke the language, was raised in the culture, and definitely saw himself as Russian, genetically, he was this incredible tapestry of Jewish, German, Swedish, and various Volga peoples. This was so sensitive that his sister Anna even wrote to Stalin, suggesting they publicize his Jewish roots to help fight anti-Semitism. Stalin's response? Absolutely not. Shut it down. So why does all this family history matter? Well, because Lenin's incredibly mixed heritage wasn't just some personal quirk. It was a perfect mirror of the Russian Empire itself, a place that was way less Russian than you probably imagine. And we have this amazing tool to understand this, the 1897 Imperial Census. It was the first and the last time they ever did a full survey of the empire's huge population. And what they found was, frankly, mind-blowing. It gives us a perfect snapshot of the world Lenin was about to set on fire. What's this number? 44%? That's the percentage of people across the entire Russian Empire who said Russian was their native language. Just let that sink in for a second. The ethnic Great Russians were a minority in their own empire. This chart just lays it all out. You see the incredible diversity. The empire wasn't really a nation-state like we think of today. It was this gigantic, sprawling thing that had swallowed up dozens of other peoples. We're talking Poles, Jews, Tatars, Ukrainians, Finns, Germans, you name it. Together, they made up the majority. Russia wasn't just a country, it was a world unto itself. And where did a lot of these minorities live? Well, take the Jewish population, which included Lenin's own grandfather. Most were forced by law to live in this specific area in the West called the Pale of Settlement. It was this huge territory covering parts of modern-day Belarus, Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine, and it was home to one of the largest Jewish communities on Earth. And if you zoom in on certain regions, the picture gets even sharper. In places like Warsaw, Poles were the overwhelming majority. In big towns across Grodno and Minsk, the Jewish population was a massive, influential minority. And down in what's now Ukraine, which the state then called Little Russia, Ukrainians vastly outnumbered ethnic Russians. The empire was a patchwork quilt, not a solid block of color. So, what's the big connection here? How does the family tree of one man tie into the destiny of this huge, diverse empire? I think this quote from the biographer Louis Fisher just says it all perfectly. Lenin, the man, was the living embodiment of the empire's contradictions. He was a product of its different peoples, its European connections, and its Asian frontier.
He wasn't some outsider attacking the Russian Empire. In a very real way, he was the Russian Empire, in all its messy, complicated, multinational glory.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. When you understand Lenin's hidden ancestry, it doesn't just change how you see him. It makes you see the Russian Revolution itself differently. Not as just a Russian thing, but as the explosion of a vast multinational empire, with a man of equally multinational heritage lighting the fuse. It just goes to show you, history is always more complicated and way more interesting than the simple stories we're told.